everyone. Today is our workshop on how to use artificial intelligence. It is an interactive workshop. So this particular component that we're recording is the beginning piece, and the rest of the time will be utilized in session working on the tasks. Okay, so this is a very short recorded piece of the information that we're delivering on a slide. Okay, so this is a project that is being presented by the Brain Injury Association of Wellington, Waterloo, and it is funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation. This grant was made possible by them. In today's workshop, these are the types of topics that we're going to be looking at. We're going to review safety. It's always important to keep that in mind while using AI. We're going to look at picking an appropriate application for use depending on our task at hand. We're going to review the steps to start using an AI application. We're going to break down saving a document depending on the type of application. And we're going to trial out some of the different apps based on our tasks. Okay, so we can get started. The big thing, always safety while using AI. So we want to make sure, and we're going to continue to reiterate this component, we want to make sure that we protect personal and private information. Okay, we don't want to give away bank accounts, addresses, social insurance numbers, to folks through online unless it's absolutely necessary. But when we're trying the apps, we want to avoid giving that information out onto the general internet. Okay. We try to avoid scams and fake AI tools. So if you are doing a search for different applications, you look to see which ones are verified. And before we click on it, we can put it into internet browser like Google or other and ask whether this particular application is a fake AI tool or one that is verified and vetted. Okay, we want to be cautious as well on file sharing. So if an application is asking you to upload or download, we want to make sure that the particular app we're using is safe to use prior to giving away our personal work or our personal files. Okay. We also want to understand what AI can and can't do. So it can create things for us, but of course, we still need to be in charge. So it can't be the be all and end all, although it's very useful. We still have to look and be responsible for the use of. We have to be aware of the privacy policies that the particular application has in place. And we have to be mindful of some of the ethical considerations, right? We want to make sure that we're not copying someone else's work. We want to give credit where credit's due. Okay. We also, when we're utilizing things and creating things and have connections on our devices, we want to make sure that we are using secure passwords and that we're logging out of sessions after use. So if you're working on something in public spaces, you don't want to share private information over a community piece of technology like a computer at a library. We want to make sure that if we are logging into, say, an application like Canva or ChatGPT, that we have passwords there so that other people can't go into or say hack into our sites. Okay. So again, with everything else, just like we have a lock for our windows and doors to a home, say, or a living space, we want to make sure that we have secure passwords and locks for our digital safety. Okay. Again, a reminder, AI, artificial intelligence, is here to help us, but we are still the gatekeepers of our personal information. Okay. The next thing is to review what AI or artificial intelligence can do. Okay. And we talk about it in a variety of different ways, but we liken it to being helpful like a whiteboard, a useful tool for brainstorming, but not secure, not a secure locker. Okay. It can help us with so many things. It can help us enhance something. It help us problem solve through a task. And we want to be able to utilize it that way or get used to having it enhance our daily activities. Okay. We can use it to help write emails, letters, or reports. We can help it can help us create checklists or templates. It can also break down very complex topics or problems and explain in plain speech or text. So that is something it can do. It can take something we wrote and reword it for us or suggest different, comparable words or topics for use. Okay, it can proofread for us. Um, One of the things that lots of folks are using it for is to translate, from one language to another. Very helpful, especially in Ontario, where we have many, many different folks with different first languages coming all together, right? It can help us to brainstorm. So if we're stuck on something, but we are having to create, it can help make suggestions. And of course, we're in charge, so we get to choose. It can summarize something. So we've gotten a document from, maybe it's from a lawyer, or maybe it's from a doctor's office, or maybe it's from the school, maybe it's from our insurer, and we're getting stuck on all the information. We can ask it to give us a summary of what the main points are. And then if we want to dig further, we can, read through it further. It can role play. It can be a tutor for us. So students, a lot of the times, or even adults, if we want to do it ourselves at home, a project, like how do I fix my toilet, or how do I put the new plug in on my sink? We can ask it to show us the steps and give us some tips and tricks, right? It can do that for us. It can be a teacher. It can also create images and art for us. So if we have an idea in mind, if we wanted to design a logo, or if there's, maybe we want to create a crest, or people have family crests, maybe we want to do something like that, or a poster for an event we're having, we can get it to do that for us. Okay. Some of the tips that we suggest, or folks have discovered along the way, that are useful when using AI, are to look at being specific about what we need. It's always okay to start off generally if we're not too sure, and when it gives us ideas or generates ideas, we can get more specific in our asks. So if you want it to write a letter, tell it what you want the letter to be written about, what you want it to include, who you want it written to, if there are any facts or statistics that you want in it, or if you want to have it, maybe it's a letter to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while, and you want to include a beautiful quotation about friendship. You can get it to look and suggest different things. Okay. Ask follow-up questions. So build on the response that you started with. If it's not quite there yet, if it's not quite what you want, you can get it to modify or change based on what you want it to do. Okay. And you can revise. You can do this over and over again if you want. You can have it rephrased. You can give it a brand new prompt. You can scrap it all and start again, because this is a way, a tool of generating brainstorming that's been very useful in a lot of settings. Part of it is to get used to it and play around with it, and start working with it to get comfortable. Okay. The next step is a lot of the different applications. It's not something we write down on a piece of paper and we hold the piece of paper. Sometimes we have to actively think about saving the work that we're doing. Now, some applications will help to automatically save and store, especially with some of the paid purchases of the apps, and some of it doesn't. So we have to be mindful of that. If we are asking it to create something and we like that, we might want to save that work in progress into either, if it's on your computer, a folder or a file or a link, and either start again on a new, venture of the topic, or a new trial of the topic or example of the topic. If it's on our phone, we might want to take a screenshot to kind of save the types of answers it gave us before we move on to the next task. Okay. We can organize our work, so we can have it saved in, labeled files or documents. So we can say letter writing, and then give the month and the year, to help us find it later. Okay. So the importance of making sure that if it's what we want, we save it, and save it in a way that we're going to be able to find it later. Okay. Steps. So these are the steps. We review them in the first workshop, which is just a kind of a general way to go about utilizing and accessing AI. So step 1, choose the type of task. Step 2, pick the appropriate or the most in-line AI application to the task. So if I want to create a picture for a school project, it's best that I look at an application that works with graphics, right? It would be silly to do something that just works with written text. It's not going to do what I need it to do. Okay. Once you find the application that is most useful, we look to find the either chat or prompt box in the program and write in what we need it to do. Okay, we can type it in. There's voice activated now, so there we can usually press a button, or using our voice, open the application for voice speech to text, and place our prompt. Okay. We enter in the prompt, we submit it, okay, and we see what it comes up with. We review whatever the response is, and then we look to determine whether it meets our needs. If it is what we want, great, we're done. We can work on saving it. And if it doesn't meet our needs, we can go back in and modify as many times as we want. So when we look at step 7, save what we get, revise or modify for step 8 if we want. Again, you keep on repeating this. Save the new work, revise or modify. If you're happy, you're done. Okay, so those are the steps. Choose your task, choose your application, ask your question in the form of a prompt, enter it, review, modify, save. Okay. And this is when we are going to be able to take some time to explore some of the applications. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Laura.